Hey, thanks for checking out the Illini Inquirer YouTube channel. If you can do us a favor, continue your support. Give us a follow here on YouTube. Hit the notifications button, hit the subscribe button. That really helps us out. We're hoping to give you more content on our video channel here, whether it's player interviews, reactions, our daily dish series where we're going to be more topical and talk about the Illini. So give us some support. We appreciate all of it. Give us a follow, hit the notifications bell as well, and subscribe to us here on Illini Inquirer YouTube. Welcome into the Daily Dish. I'm Jeremy Werner, Joey Wagner here as well. And Joey, for the first time since 2016, we had 3 Illini get drafted, which is a big deal for Illinois, but also several guys, 7 so far, signing free agent deals. We'll see if more are added to that list as we go along. But let's break down a little bit of the fits. First, Kirby Joseph, Vederian Lowe, and Doug Kramer all heading to the NFC North. Are you upset that your Packers didn't draft or sign any Illini?
Well, I've long been on this stage here of Blake Hayes and Ethan Tabell. I think the fits there are perfect. We haven't seen those two sign with anybody yet. But the NFC North, at least we'll start with the 2 linemen, man. Jeremy, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Chicago, as you know, needs some help on the offensive line, and Doug Kramer is going to go in there. I think you and I have covered Doug long enough to know exactly what kind of worker Chicago is going to get in Doug Kramer. He's going to give himself a chance to fight and compete. And I think Vederian Lowe, you go to the Minnesota Vikings. I think there was some thought Chicago could have been a play there, a real serious play there. Would have made a lot of sense. Minnesota didn't talk to him much at all. They talked at the East-West Shrine game in the pre-draft process, but he's going to go in there similar to Doug, Jeremy. We know what he's going to do. We know his story as well. I think he's going to go in there and give himself a chance to fight for being in that 2 deep, 3 deep, whatever, however you want to say it, early on there. And then Kirby Joseph, another 3rd-round pick, Illinois football. Detroit likes to have maybe 3 safeties on the field at times, and minimally, we've seen what he can do special teams-wise early in his career as a gunner. As he continues to progress a little bit more, he's still really raw at the free safety position.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to pick, like, who do you think is going to be at his place the longest time? I mean, it's Kirby because he's a top 100 draft pick. There's an investment of capital there. Plus, as you said, he showed such a skill set at free safety where he can take the ball away, and then his special teams ability, right? Like Justin Hardy has made a career of that. And Kirby, I thought had a chance at the NFL, maybe going into last year just because of his special teams ability, not his safety play, but his safety play made him a top 100 draft pick. Yeah, Vederian and Doug, right? Like 6th-round picks. I mean, that gives you a chance to compete, but it's not a huge investment. So you still have to find a way to a job, whether that's practice squad, whether that's making the roster. I do love the fit for Doug Kramer. The Bears need offensive line. They took 4 offensive linemen, so he's certainly going to have to compete. The one issue with Doug might be that he's a true center, and usually they want some flexibility. But I think it says something when they use a 6th-round pick on that guy at center. And you know, the competition he has, Sam Mustipher was not a highly regarded guy coming in the NFL. You know, obviously the guy they had from the Packers here, Joey Lucas Patrick, was not a highly regarded guy, but those guys turned into starters. I can see Doug Kramer following a similar kind of path. I love the value for the Vikings of Vederian Lowe. I know he's not a perfect prospect. Maybe needs to add some more physicality in the run game. You know, some guys saying he's not the most athletic, but I think in an NFL that throws the ball a lot, I think he's a great fit as a pass blocker. And, you know, Minnesota needs depth. They have 2 starters for sure, but I think Vederian Lowe has the versatility to slide inside to guard if he needs to and play tackle. So, and plus he's playing for a lot, right? He's not, all these guys are motivated, but Vederian certainly is motivated. So I think all those guys can find a way to stick on the NFL roster, Joey.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Vederian said as much when I talked to him after he got drafted, and which is no surprise, Jeremy. We've known his story for years now. We understand what's on the table. Personal fit, I think it's awesome for Doug Kramer. What an awesome story. We kind of joked about it last week. Like, this could be IO part 2, and he gets to stay home and, you know, play for a team he grew up rooting for in Chicago. He's going to give himself a chance there at that position. We'll see how it goes, but I think you're absolutely right to take somebody who you know is a true center to draft somebody. That tells you a lot about what they think of Doug Kramer. I mean, that's a huge compliment from Chicago to go in and do that. A cool aside, Jeremy, I was leaving Vederian and he was outside, and you had texted me and said, "Hey, Doug to the Bears." So I rolled down the window and I said, "Hey, Vederian, Doug just got drafted." And he said, "What, where?" He said, "To the Bears." And he said, "What?" And then he ended up FaceTiming. It was pretty cool to see. I mean, that line, Jeremy, you know how much those guys went through together, and to see Nicky's in the NFL, obviously Allegretti, Kendrick Green, Vederian Lowe, Doug Kramer. We know Alex Palchesi is going to get that chance next year. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, all Illinois offensive line as well. So you can sell the heck out of that in recruiting. Before we get out of here, Joey, 7 former Illini so far have signed free agent deals. Tony Adams to the Jets, Owen Carney to the Dolphins, Jake Hansen to the Texans. We actually predicted one. Not that it was hard to predict. James McCourt and Brandon Peters to the Chargers, Roderick Perry to the Browns, and Kalon Tolson to the Panthers. Do you want to highlight any of those? Any of those stand out to you?
I mean, the Texans one was an easy one, just because one, you knew that Jake was going to be limited in the pre-draft process as he recovered, but he knows Lovey knows him. There's a great amount of trust. So I mean, that I think you and I kind of joked like in December, like, is he written in Houston yet? Like, when is this going to happen? But I don't know. None of those. Owen Carney with the Dolphins is going to be. I think he should reconnect right with Austin Clark. Is Austin Clark still there? So that'll be a pretty cool experience for those two to get to, and it probably helps that Austin Clark knew him. I think you and I thought the Patriots, because Brett Bielema and Owen Carney think so highly of each other, and Brett Bielema's got the Bill Belichick plug there. But I like that fit in Miami. I don't think you and I are shocked, Jeremy, to see Brandon Peters got into a camp. I mean, he's got a big enough arm. It makes sense that he's going to go in there and get to throw it around a little bit. We'll see what happens from it, but that's no shock. And him and James are really good friends.
Two that really interest me, Joey. I've always been a fan of Roderick Perry. I think the injuries certainly didn't help him, but Tony Adams had a really good pro day and just a really solid career, and his versatility, his ability to play special teams. I think he can have a shot in New York, and to have a former Illini and Justin Hardy there with him isn't such a bad thing, because Justin's such a supporter of everything Illinois. The other one that intrigues me is Kalon Tolson, because of that special teams. I don't think Kalon is quite long enough, for a linebacker, mostly at the NFL level, though we've seen some shorter guys be able to succeed in the NFL, but I think he can be a special teams ace. He's got great speed, great athleticism, and wants to hit people. So he was a guy that surprised me when he went into the NFL draft, but I think the Panthers gave him a $20,000 signing bonus. So we'll see what Kalon Tolson can do, but it's great to see all these guys get shots, Joey, and you're starting to see more. Most of these guys, Lovie Smith guys, some of his first recruiting classes. So his first recruiting class was really good. The classes after that were more of issues. So 2023 is going to be interesting to see, who gets drafted out of that class. The Brown brothers, Chase Brown and Sidney Brown, are really, really good prospects, in my opinion. Maybe not like first day, second day guys, but both are going to have NFL scouts looking at him. You mentioned Palchesi. If he shows he's healthy, I think he's got the versatility to play tackle or guard. 3 years ago, I would have said he's the best prospect of all those offensive linemen. And then Kendrick broke out, obviously, and Vederian and Doug continued to play well while Palcho got hurt. The guy who intrigues me the most, though, is probably Isaiah Williams. I think he's in line for a huge year. You see what a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson goes second round, I believe, after transferring from Nebraska to Kentucky. I think Isaiah Williams has a chance to be maybe the first guy drafted. And that's not to overlook guys like Quan Martin, Luke Ford. Luke Ford is exactly what the NFL is looking for in a tight end, just has to prove more as a pass catcher. Devin Witherspoon, Julian Hart, and maybe Keith Randolph and Johnny Newton. But Isaiah Williams could be the guy in a year we're looking at as, hey, maybe that's their best chance at a day 2 pick.
Yeah, I thought you may have been doing a victory lap in Vegas when Wan'Dale Robinson went that high, because I know exactly how you compare those two. And I thought the same thing, Jeremy. I thought this could be, with what we saw in the spring game, what we know that Isaiah can do on the field. We think he's going to be highlighted this year. There's a lot of potential there for him. I'm with you also on the two defense. The Brown brothers feel obvious, right? I mean, those two are so good. Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph intrigue the heck out of me. And we think they're in line for a big year. You don't want to get too far ahead of things, but really for any of these guys. But man, those two have all the potential in the world, and could maybe, we think, a good year, and see what that translates to.
It's just been far more interesting the last couple of years to actually watch the draft if you're associated with Illinois, because you're starting to have more guys get picked, and that's a good thing for the program. And you would assume Brett Bielema can continue that, given his history of producing NFL guys as well. For Joey Wagner, I'm Jeremy Warner. Thanks for listening to the Illini Inquirer YouTube channel. Go give us a follow, subscribe to us, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you next time.